The Library Heist Part 2. The Protector. The floor buckled beneath their feet, sending the thieves stumbling as the library seemed to roar to life. The whispers swirled into a deafening crescendo, and the air turned so cold that frost began to spiderweb across the walls. Lydia clutched the book to her chest, her eyes wild as she shouted over the chaos. "Everyone, get to the exit!" But the library had other plans. The grand doors they had entered through slammed shut with a thunderous boom, the sound reverberating through the cavernous space. The walls seemed to stretch and shift, twisting the once familiar pathways into a disorienting labyrinth. It was as if the library itself was alive, angry, vengeful, and determined to trap them inside. "Where's the way out?" Ethan shouted, his voice tinged with panic as his flashlight flickered, casting frantic shadows against the warped walls. "There is no way out," Serena snapped, her voice trembling. She turned to Lydia, her gaze fixed on the book in her arms. "It's the book! It's doing this! Put it back!" Lydia shook her head, her knuckles white as she held the artifact tighter. "No, this is what we came for. Do you have any idea what this is worth? What it can do?" "You don't understand," Serena yelled, her voice cracking. "This place isn't just a library, it's a prison. That book wasn't abandoned. It was locked away." Before Lydia could respond, the whispers stopped. The sudden silence was deafening, pressing down on them like a weight. And then from the shadows came the sound of slow, deliberate footsteps. "Do you hear that?" Cole said, his voice barely above a whisper. His usual bravado was gone, replaced by a palpable fear. The footsteps grew louder, closer, until a figure emerged from the darkness. At first glance, it appeared to be human, a tall, robed figure cloaked in shadows. But as it stepped into the faint glow of the book's light, its true form was revealed. The creature was a shifting mass of darkness, its shape constantly flickering between forms. One moment it was skeletal, its hollow eyes staring into their souls. The next, it was a towering, amorphous figure with tendrils of smoke writhing around it. Its presence was suffocating, an oppressive force that made the air thick and hard to breathe. "Is that a person?" Ethan whispered, though deep down he already knew the answer. The creature tilted its head, its hollow gaze fixed on Lydia. When it spoke, its voice echoed in their minds, a low, resonant sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "The book does not belong to you." Lydia took a step back, clutching the artifact tighter. What are you?" The creature didn't answer. Instead, it extended one shadowy hand, its tendrils reaching toward her. "Give it what it wants," Serena screamed. "We're not getting out of here alive if you don't." But Lydia's grip only tightened. "This book can change everything. Do you get that? It can rewrite the rules of reality. I'm not giving it up." The creature's form flickered, its tendrils retracting as it straightened to its full, towering height. "You do not understand the bonds," its voice reverberating through the chamber. "Power like this is not given, it is taken, and it demands sacrifice." The ground beneath them cracked, splitting into jagged fissures that glowed with an eerie, otherworldly light. Shadows poured out of the cracks, writhing like living things. One of the tendrils lashed out, striking the ground inches from Cole's feet. He stumbled back with a curse, his bravado completely shattered. "Lydia, do something!" Ethan shouted, his voice rising in panic. "It's going to kill us!" A library turned against them. Group broke into a chaotic sprint, scattering as the protector advanced. The library seemed to shift around them, the walls twisting into impossible angles. Every hallway looked the same, leading them in circles no matter which direction they ran. It was as if the building itself was alive, and it wanted them to stay. Ethan tripped over a toppled bookshelf, scrambling to his feet as he looked over his shoulder. The protector was nowhere to be seen, but the shadows in the hallway seemed to move on their own, stretching toward him like grasping hands. "Lydia!" he shouted, his voice cracking with desperation. "Where are you?" Meanwhile, Lydia found herself in a narrow corridor, the book still clutched tightly to her chest. The whispers had returned, but now they seemed to be speaking directly to her, their voices soft and seductive. "You can make it out. You can have everything you've ever wanted. Power, wealth, immortality. All you have to do is use me." She stopped, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The book's symbols glowed brighter, shifting and rearranging themselves as though alive. She could feel its power radiating through her, a raw, untamed force that seemed to promise the world. But the protector's voice cut through her thoughts like a blade. You cannot wield it. None of you can. Lydia spun around to see the creature standing at the far end of the corridor, its form flickering between shapes. Its hollow gaze bore into her, and for the first time she felt the full weight of its presence, a cold, suffocating dread that threatened to crush her. Why not? She demanded, her voice shaking. Why can't I use it? Because it will take more than you are willing to give. The final choice. In another part of the library, Serena, Cole, and Ethan regrouped, their faces pale and their breaths ragged. The shadows seemed to press in from all sides, and they knew it was only a matter of time before the protector found them. We have to destroy it, Serena said, her voice firm despite the fear in her eyes. The book, it's the only way to stop this. Destroy it, Cole scoffed, though his bravado was clearly forced. Do you have any idea how much that thing's worth? I don't care, Serena snapped. If Lydia won't do it, we have to. Before they could move, the protector appeared, its form towering over them. Shadows lashed out, forcing them to scatter. Serena dodged one tendril, grabbing a broken piece of wood from the ground and swinging it wildly. It passed through the creature harmlessly, but she kept swinging, desperation fueling her movements. Lydia, she screamed, do it now. Back in the corridor, Lydia stared at the book, her hands trembling. The protector loomed closer, its tendrils reaching for her. She could feel the power pulsing through the artifact, so close, so tantalizing. Lydia, Serena's voice echoed through the library. It's not worth it. Tears streaked Lydia's face as she looked between the book and the advancing creature. She wanted to keep it, to use it, to remake the world in her image. But deep down, she knew Serena was right. With a scream of frustration, she hurled the book onto the ground. The protector moved instantly, its tendrils encasing the artifact as it shimmered and vanished. The library grew still, the shadows retreating, and the walls returning to their original state. The group stood in stunned silence as the grand doors creaked open, revealing the moonlit courtyard outside. For a moment, none of them moved, as if afraid it was a trap. But then Serena grabbed Lydia's arm, pulling her toward the exit. Let's go, she said firmly, before it changes its mind. The aftermath. As they staggered out into the night, Lydia glanced back at the library. The doors had sealed themselves once more, and the building was silent, its secrets locked away. But she could still hear the whispers, faint and distant, each calling her back. And for the rest of her life, she would wonder what might have been if she had only dared to open the book. The end.